On Christmas Eve, a billionaire single dad discovers an incredible truth from a homeless woman that could change everything. Jack Harrington stood in his penthouse, staring out at the brilliant lights that twinkled across the Chicago skyline. The city pulsed with holiday cheer, but within him, a hollow silence echoed. At 42, he was a titan of industry, yet he felt more like a ghost amidst the laughter of families celebrating together. Christmas Eve had always brimmed with magic, but this year it felt like he was trapped in a glittering prison. The aroma of warm food from his kitchen couldn't fill the void left by his estranged daughter, Lily. He stepped onto the bustling streets, where laughter, music, and the faint scent of roasted chestnuts filled the air. Children bundled in mittens chased each other, their giggles piercing his heart. Jack walked on, trying to shake off the spell of loneliness. The holiday spirit enveloped him, but it felt distant, mocking even. As he wandered through a park decorated with garlands, he spotted her. A homeless woman sat on a bench, her tattered coat contrasting with the vibrant city lights. But it was her smile that drew him, in a warm, genuine grin that shone through the chill of winter. Curiosity piqued, Jack approached. "Hi," he said, hesitantly. "Hey there," she replied, her voice soft yet vibrant. "Beautiful night, isn't it?" "It is," Jack admitted. "But it seems a little lonely." She nodded, her eyes twinkling like the lights strung above them. "The world sees me as invisible, but I'm here. I have stories, you know. Love, loss, family." Something in her tone struck a chord deep within him. As she recounted tales of her past joyous moments spent with her family, the heartbreak of losing them, the resilience it took to keep going, Jack's chest tightened. He didn't just hear her words, he felt the life throbbing behind them, the love that was palpable. Regret washed over him as memories of Lily flooded his mind. They hadn't spoken in months, the distance had become a chasm. The weight of his ambition had suffocated their connection, made her feel unworthy. Jack's heart ached, a piercing reminder of the family embrace he had taken for granted. Before he could gather his thoughts, snowflakes began to swirl, drifting softly down onto the bustling city. The brisk wind intensified, and a sense of urgency crept into the air. Jack could either retreat to the warmth of his penthouse or stay and help this woman and others like her facing the storm. In that moment of clarity, Jack made his choice. "What can I do to help?" he asked Sarah, his voice firm with determination. "There are shelters nearby that need warm blankets," she replied, her eyes widening in surprise. "You'll help?" Together, they gathered supplies, working side by side with other volunteers, sheltering those left behind in the cold. Jack's heart swelled as he witnessed the spirit of community wrap around him, fighting against the bitter winds. As he assisted Sarah, the hope that had long eluded him fluttered within. He planned to reach out to Lily, to share his newfound perspective. But what would she think? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Standing beneath the snowlight, thoughts swirling, Jack was painfully aware of the delicate line he walked. Would inviting Sarah into their home for his meticulously planned holiday party bring the warmth he was seeking or deepen the rift with Lily? As night fell and the city shone with festive lights, he felt the weight of his decision hanging in the air. Would this act of kindness bring them closer as a family, or would it unravel everything he had fought to maintain? The true spirit of Christmas danced right before him, leaving Jack hovering at the edge of transformation and redemption. Jack stood in the shelter, his arms laden with blankets. The laughter and chatter of volunteers around him faded into an echo as he pondered Sarah's words. She was more than just a homeless woman, she was a vessel of experience, sharing tales woven with warmth and heartbreak. Each story sparked a flicker of light in his heart, illuminating the dark corners where regret had taken root. "Hey there. Need some help?" a fellow volunteer called, snapping him from his thoughts. It was a younger guy, probably in his late 20s, his smile infectious. Yeah. We need more blankets in the back," Jack replied, shaking off the haze of uncertainty. He couldn't let the weight of his past pull him down. Not tonight. As they worked together, the camaraderie blossomed. People were united in a common goal, and for the first time in years, Jack felt the warmth of connection. It was that simple, giving back. It was all too easy to forget the beauty of human kindness in the fast-paced world he inhabited. After a few hours, Sarah and Jack took a moment to catch their breath. They stepped outside, watching the snow cascade down, landing softly on the ground. The street sparkled like diamonds under streetlights, a stark contrast to the life of struggle that so many lived just a few blocks away. "You know," Sarah began, brushing snow off her shoulders, "this isn't just about the blankets or the food. It's about reminding someone they're seen, that they matter." Her words struck him like a bell ringing in the silence of a cavern. Could he do that for Lily? Could he reach through the fog of anger and disappointment that had grown between them? "I have a daughter," Jack said, the weight of his confession hanging in the air. "I haven't spoken to her in months. I thought I was doing what was best for her, but I see now that I was just pushing her away." Sarah's gaze softened, full of compassion. "It takes courage to admit that. Sometimes the hardest thing is to open up and let them know how much they mean to you." The thought felt monumental, like trying to climb a mountain. Jack thought of Lily's face, the way her eyes had looked when he'd last seen her, filled with hurt and defiance. Would she even want to hear from him now? What if he reached out and she turned away? "Tomorrow is Christmas," Jack murmured. "I can't wait any longer. I have to try." Sarah watched him, her smile bright against the drab backdrop of the city. "Then you should. You deserve your second chance, just like anyone else." That sentiment wrapped around him like a warm embrace. Fueled by determination, Jack pulled out his phone. He hesitated briefly but then dialed Lily's number, his heart racing. "Come on, pick up," he whispered, anxiety coursing through him. As the phone rang, he glanced at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly. It went to voicemail, and sadness flooded him. But he wasn't going to give up that easily. "Lily, it's Dad. I know I haven't been there for you, but I want to change that. I'm so sorry." His voice cracked, sincerity pouring through every syllable. "Please, let us meet. I promise I'll do better. I miss you." He ended the call, staring at the screen as if it held a magical answer. What if she never calls back? "Then you try again," Sarah replied, her voice steady and wise. "But what if she does?" The idea lodged itself in him, almost as exhilarating as the snowflakes swirling around them. With renewed hope tinged with fear, Jack looked around the shelter, where laughter and joy bloomed in the most unexpected of places. He took a deep breath, realizing he was standing at a crossroads. The warmth of the community around him ignited the ghost of a dream, a family whole again. As the wind picked up, scattering snowflakes like confetti, Jack felt vibrant energy coursing through him. This was it. Tomorrow would be the start of something new. Full of promise, full of unexpected connections, just like the spirit of Christmas itself. And as he stood there, hope fluttering inside him like a fragile bird, he couldn't help but wonder, would he finally reconcile with Lily, or was he destined to face a deeper loss? Jack woke up the next morning to a world blanketed in white. Soft rays of sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow over the room. It was Christmas morning, yet a tight knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach. Today wasn't just about gifts or celebrations, it was about confronting the silence that had stretched between him and Lily for far too long. He dressed quickly, the cold air biting at his skin. Jack glanced at his phone, half expecting a message from Lily, but the screen remained stubbornly blank. Thoughts raced through his mind every painful moment of their last encounter, every harsh word he'd spoken. It felt like a heavy chain, dragging him down. Taking a deep breath, he stepped outside. The world was alive with the sounds of Christmas, children laughing, families gathering, and the sweet aroma of holiday treats wafting through the air. Yet, amidst the festive cheer, Jack felt a profound isolation. How could he blend in when his heart felt so burdened? With determination, he made his way to the shelter. He hoped Sarah would be there. He wanted to share his fears and seek reassurance. The warmth of the center welcomed him, but he was struck by the sight of people huddled together for a meal, their smiles brightening the room. It was then he understood, the spirit of Christmas was not in the perfection of family bonds but in the connections that could be forged from understanding and compassion. "Jack! You made it!" Sarah's voice rang out, her smile genuine and infectious. "Morning, Sarah," he replied, forcing a smile as he joined her at the kitchen counter. "I'm a bit anxious about today. Want to talk about it?" She handed him a cup of steaming hot cocoa, and he accepted, grateful for the warmth both in his hands and from her presence. "I'm thinking of reaching out to Lily again today. But what if she doesn't want to see me?" His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "What do I say to fix this? I don't want to lose her for good." "Just be honest," Sarah said softly, her eyes filled with understanding. "Tell her how much she means to you. You can't make her feel something, but you can try and let her know that you care." Jack took a long sip of his cocoa, the sweet warmth filling the emptiness in his chest. "And if she shuts me out again? Then you keep trying. Love isn't just about the easy moments, it's also about showing up even when it's hard. Sometimes we have to prove ourselves over time." Her words ignited something within him. He realized that the effort he put into repairing their relationship would be the true measure of his love for her. The insecurities that came with a past of mistakes felt like anchors, but maybe he could learn to float above them. As the hours passed, Jack helped serve meals and laugh with the guests. The sounds of cheer began to shift his mood, lifting the weight off his heart little by little. He could picture Lily with her bright smile, could hear her laughter. It was almost a ritual of sorts to think of her, allowing hope to seep in, but as the day wore on, and he texted her several times without a response, doubt crept back in. Would she ever forgive him? As evening approached, a sinking feeling washed over him. Maybe he would have to face the truth that some wounds might be too deep to heal. Just as he thought of giving up, the familiar tone of a message buzzed through. As he looked at the screen, his heart raced. It was from Lily, and he read the words with a mixture of hope and fear. "Dad, can we talk? I'm at home." Was this the opening he had been praying for, or was it another chance for disappointment? Jack took a shaky breath, gripping the phone tightly. His heart raced wildly as he considered the possibilities. How would this meeting go? Would he finally have a chance to mend their broken bridge? The night was thick with uncertainty, but one thing was clear: he was ready to take the leap. Jack stood still, his heart pounding in his chest. The message from Lily flickered on the screen, casting a glow in the dimly lit room. It felt like the weight of the world rested on that simple request. Could this be his chance to reach her? He could almost picture her at home, the soft light of the Christmas tree illuminating her features, the familiar warmth of their shared memories hanging in the air like an unspoken promise. Taking a deep breath, he stepped out into the cold, the frigid air biting at his skin and reminding him of the urgency of the moment. He couldn't keep putting this off. He had to face the truth, no matter how terrifying it felt. Each step toward home felt like a mile, and with every passing moment, his mind teetered between hope and despair. Would he be welcomed with open arms, or would they fall victim to the same silence that had plagued them for so long? As he walked, memories flooded in Lily's laughter during the snowball fights, the way her eyes sparkled when she opened Christmas gifts, the warmth of their shared hugs. Those sweet moments lifted his spirits, but the thought of their recent arguments loomed like clouds on a sunny day. Arriving at the door, Jack paused, hand hovering over the doorknob for a moment. His breaths came out in quick puffs, anxiety rising again. What if he stumbled over his words? What if Lily was still too hurt to listen? He drew in a deep breath, steadying himself. This had to be done. Gently, he turned the knob and stepped inside. The soft strains of Christmas music floated through the air, a familiar comfort that filled his heart with bittersweet emotions. The room was beautifully decorated, filled with twinkling lights and the gentle scent of pine. But despite the beauty around him, Jack felt an overwhelming sense of loss. "Lily?" he called out softly, not wanting to disturb the tranquility of the moment. A few seconds passed, but there was no response. Then, from the hallway, he heard the subtle shuffling of footsteps. He turned to see her standing there, her face a mix of hope and apprehension. Jack's heart swelled. The sight of her felt like coming home after a long journey. "Dad," she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly. "Hey, kiddo," he replied, trying to keep his tone light, though his hands were shaking. They stood there, the gap between them filled with emotions unspoken. Jack cleared his throat, searching for the right words to bridge the chasm that had formed. "I got your message. I wanted to talk." Lily shifted, her eyes flickering as if searching for something to hold on to. "I'm so sorry, Lily," Jack said, stepping closer. "For everything. For the words I said that hurt you." She looked down, taking a small step back. "You don't understand." "No, I do. I know I messed up. I was wrong, and I've realized how much you mean to me. I don't want us to stay like this," he pleaded, reaching out gently to close the distance, heart racing at her reaction. Lily met his gaze, tears shimmering in her eyes. "But it's not just that. I've been feeling so lost." Jack felt the weight of her words settle between them like heavy snow. There was a depth to her pain that clawed at his heart. "You can tell me anything. I want to help. Just please let us talk." The silence stretched out, and for a moment, he feared that she would retreat once more. But as he held her gaze, he saw a flicker of determination. "Okay," she whispered, voice barely above a breath. "But it's going to take more than just words." Jack nodded, emotions swirling. He understood now that this was just the beginning. It would take patience and vulnerability to rebuild trust. But he was ready. As they sank into a conversation that would define their future, Jack felt something shift. With each exchanged word, the barrier between them began to thaw. Maybe, just maybe, they could find their way back to one another. The night was filled with uncertainty, but it also brimmed with possibilities. What they didn't know was that the hardest conversations lay ahead. And as the clock ticked closer to midnight, an unexpected visitor would shatter their fragile peace, bringing with them a truth that neither of them could foresee. The clock on the wall ticked softly, counting down the moments of their tentative conversation. Jack felt the weight of each tick reverberating in his chest, the air thick with unspoken emotions. He needed to know what had been happening in Lily's life, what shadows had crept into her heart while they had been apart. "Lily," he began, his voice quieter now, filled with a mix of fear and hope. "How have you been really? I'm not just talking about school or friends, I mean everything." Her eyes sparkled with unshed tears as she fiddled with a loose thread on her sweater. "It's been rough, Dad," she admitted, the vulnerability in her voice holding Jack captive. "I've been trying to find my place, to figure out what I want. But it feels like I'm just running in circles." Jack's heart ached for her. He remembered being that age, overwhelmed by expectations and a world that felt too big at times. "You don't have to have it all figured out now, Lily," he reassured her. "You have time to explore, to be you." She looked up, meeting his gaze with a mixture of gratitude and lingering hurt. "But I felt so alone. After the fight, I didn't know how to reach out to you. I was scared of what you would say. I'm so sorry for that. I wish you had come to me. I want to be someone you can trust." Jack took a step closer, closing the gap again, allowing their connection to breathe life into the room. I want to understand. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and Jack felt a wave of emotion crash over him, a fierce desire to wipe away her pain. He did not want to be the cause of her hurt any longer. Just then, the front door creaked open, a gust of cold air swirling into the warmth of their sacred space. Both Jack and Lily turned quickly, startled by the unexpected interruption. In the doorway stood a figure wrapped in a tattered blanket, her silhouette framed by the twinkling lights of their living room. An elderly woman, her eyes wide with urgency, stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "I'm sorry to intrude," she said, her voice raspy with age but filled with an undeniable warmth. "But I needed to find you." Jack and Lily exchanged confused glances, the atmosphere shifting from intimate to tense in an instant. "Who are you?" Lily asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and caution. The woman hesitated, as if choosing her words with care. "I've been watching you both from outside. I know it's strange, but I have something important to share." Jack felt an unsettling sensation ripple through him. Who was this woman? Why was she lingering outside their house? "What do you mean?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The woman took a deep breath, stepping further into the light, and Jack noticed the lines of hardship etched on her face. "I've been a neighbor for a while now, and I know about your struggles, the things you don't see." Lily stepped closer to her father's side, the two of them bracing for whatever was to come. "There's something you need to know. Something that could change everything," she said, her eyes locking onto Jack's. "What is it?" Jack asked, his heart racing as uncertainty coiled in his stomach. The woman opened her mouth to speak, but a sudden chill swept through the room, snuffing out the flickering candles and casting shadows that danced ominously across the walls. Jack felt a shiver run down his spine. And then, in the fragile silence that followed, in that moment of harsh expectancy, Jack sensed that their fragile peace was about to be shattered anew. What truth could this stranger possibly reveal that would turn their lives upside down? Jack was still reeling from the chill, blinking as the shadows shifted around them. The stranger's gaze was steady, unyielding, both captivating and terrifying. He held his breath, waiting for her to continue. "Your family, it holds deeper ties than you realize," she finally said. Her voice trembled slightly, but the weight of her words hung heavy in the air. "There are secrets in your lineage, things that have remained hidden for too long." Jack's mind raced with questions. Secrets? Hidden truths? He glanced at Lily, who was now biting her lip, uncertainty flickering across her face. "What do you mean?" he asked, his heart pounding. "What are you talking about?" The woman took a step closer, her blanket trailing softly on the floor. "There has been a link between our families, a connection forged through hardships and resilience. It's time to uncover it." A sudden flash of anger ignited within Jack. "What do you want from us? We don't need more drama in our lives." He hadn't intended to raise his voice, but the urgency in her plea struck a nerve. Lily, sensing the tension, squeezed Jack's arm gently. "Dad, wait," she murmured, looking up at him with wide, pleading eyes. "Maybe we should hear her out?" The elderly woman's expression softened, undeterred by Jack's outburst. "I am not here to cause any pain," she said softly. "I've watched you both. The struggles you faced. The love you fought to hold on to. You deserve clarity. And you deserve to know the truth." "What truth?" Jack pressed, needing to understand what lay beneath her vague promises. "My name is Agnes," the woman introduced herself, her weathered hands clutching the edges of her blanket. "And I have lived in this neighborhood longer than you can imagine. Your great-grandmother, she was my best friend. There's another layer to your family, to your heritage, and it is intertwined with mine." The words hit Jack like a wave breaking against the shore. His great-grandmother? He had often heard stories about her, tales of strength, love, and sacrifice. But what could Agnes possibly mean? "What does that have to do with us now?" he inquired, feeling a mix of skepticism and curiosity. Agnes's eyes glistened with something almost like hope. She made a choice, Jack, one that rippled through generations. She kept secrets to protect her loved ones. But those secrets, they're coming back. The cycle continues unless we break it. Jack frowned, struggling to digest this. How do you know all of this? I've seen the patterns, the resemblances, and more than that, I can help you connect the dots. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, shifting her weight. But it will take courage and an openness to the unknown. Lily, absorbed in the conversation, looked between Jack and Agnes. What if this is about finding who we really are? Our truth? Jack shook his head slightly, trying to dismiss both the growing intrigue and the panic nagging at him. This feels unreal. Agnes reached out, touching the edge of Jack's arm. What could be more real than the bond between family? You should be prepared for what you might find. It may not just change your lives, but your understanding of love itself. Jack felt the room closing in around them, his heart racing. Questions swirled in his mind. Could their family history really hold the answers they needed? Or would it unravel everything he thought he knew? As he opened his mouth to respond, the lights flickered momentarily. Just outside, the world moved on, unaware of the downward spiral into the unknown about to unfold for them, and in that pause, one thought crystallized in Jack's mind: what if the truth was more than they were ready to handle? The door creaked once more, an echo of potential laying heavy on his heart, waiting for him to step through. The air hung thick with anticipation. Jack could feel the weight of Agnes's gaze, steady and sure, boring into him as if she were peering straight into his soul. He blinked rapidly, trying to shake off the disorienting feeling of being swept away in the tide of her revelation. Can you tell us more? Lily finally spoke, her voice a cautious whisper that broke the tension. Jack shot her a glance, a mix of frustration and fear etched on his face. Do you really want to know, dear? Agnes's voice was gentle, like she understood all too well the burden that truth could carry. Many prefer the comfort of ignorance. Jack's heart raced. Was ignorance truly bliss? Part of him wanted to shout yes, to retreat back to normalcy, where their lives were uncomplicated by long-buried secrets. Yet, another part, a deeper, more curious part of him, began to wonder what lay beneath the surface, what shadows there were to unveil. Lily took a deep breath. I think we deserve to know. Don't we, Dad? Jack hesitated. How could he answer that? He glanced again at Agnes, whose demeanor remained calm, almost knowing. Okay. His mouth felt dry. If we're going to do this, I need to know everything. No more riddles. A thin smile broke across Agnes's face, genuine yet laced with sorrow. Very well. Your great-grandmother, Evelyn, made sacrifices I cannot even begin to describe. It was out of love for her family, love that drove her to conceal truths that had the power to shatter lives. Shatter lives? Jack repeated, a shiver running down his spine. Agnes nodded, her head lowering slightly, as if the weight of those memories pressed heavily on her shoulders. There was a war, not only of nations but within families. Choices had to be made to protect those we care about. Evelyn chose solitude over exposure, pain over betrayal. You see, Jack, her past is your heritage. Jack exchanged glances with Lily, whose eyes were wide, reflecting the tempest of emotions swirling between them. With every word Agnes spoke, the reality of their situation wrapped around him like vines, constricting, suffocating in its insistence. But why now? He asked. Why are these truths surfacing after all this time? Because truth has a tendency to emerge, my dear boy, Agnes replied, her voice steadying as she gazed at them, her warmth wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. The past doesn't simply fade into oblivion, it roils and ebbs, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. What if we don't want to uncover it? Jack asked, feeling his breath quickening. He could almost feel the ghosts of his ancestors whispering through the air, each one eager to share their story but fearful of its implications. Agnes placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. Sometimes, what we fear the most is also the very thing that could set us free. With those words ringing in his ears, Jack's mind spun. Freedom? Or might they find chains instead? At that moment, the door creaked again, but this time, it opened wider, revealing a darkened path beyond. Shadows danced, flickering in the dim light, mimicking the churning feeling inside him. What if we're not ready? Lily whispered, almost to herself. Agnes's eyes sparkled with a knowing light. You will never be ready. The heart has its own way of leading you, it only takes the first step. Jack nodded, albeit slowly, the weight of his decision looming overhead. What if they did choose to chase the truth? Would it empower them, or change everything they once held dear? As the shadows beckoned, a rush of adrenaline surged through him. Let us step through, he finally said, each word tasting like a promise wrapped in fear. But at that moment, the lights flickered and dimmed, leaving them enveloped in darkness. Just then, a distant sound echoed down the street, a child's laughter and a soft melody that pulled at Jack's heart. Standing on the precipice of the unknown, Jack wondered if what lay ahead was a beautiful revelation or a sinister trap. Would friendship and family together weather the storm of their unfolding past? Before he could respond, Agnes whispered, remember the journey you choose to take could ignite a light that changes everything. The door creaked again, a haunting invitation to explore the pathways of their ancestry. With his heart pounding, Jack took a deep breath, unsure of the darkness waiting beyond, yet drawn to the light of possibility it promised. Where would it lead? Jack took a cautious step forward, his pulse quickening as he crossed the threshold into the unknown. The door groaned softly behind them, closing off the familiar world they had known. Darkness enveloped them, pressing in like a thick fog. He felt a shiver race down his spine, but the faint sound of a child's laughter lingered in his ears, urging him on. As their eyes adjusted, faint outlines began to emerge, the silhouettes of old furniture wrapped in layers of dust. Shelves filled with forgotten books lined the walls, their spines fading with age. The air felt colder here, heavy with secrets waiting to be unearthed. Jack took another step, glancing back at Lily, who looked both terrified and exhilarated. She was both his anchor and his compass. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. Is it just me, or can you sense it? Lily whispered, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. Like something is just waiting for us? Jack nodded, his heart racing. Yeah, but what? Do you think we're really ready for this? Before she could answer, Agnes began to move deeper into the room, her voice echoing through the stillness. Evelyn's legacy doesn't just lie in memories. It entangles with the present, shaping your lives in unseen ways. Why these memories? Jack questioned, wanting to grasp this situation more clearly. Why not share them when she was alive? Because the weight of truth can be unbearable, Agnes sighed. Sometimes, love means protecting others from pain, even while it hurts you. Evelyn wanted to shield you from the storm of her past. By burying it? Jack's frustration bubbled over. How could that possibly protect us? It feels like a ticking time bomb. Agnes turned, looking Jack straight in the eye. What is buried often yields a richer soil for growth, should you dare to unearth it. Only you possess the courage to confront the truth. The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling heavily in the air. Jack felt an inexplicable chill slide down his spine, realizing they were standing at the edge of something monumental. He reached for Lily's hand, their fingers intertwining, grounding him in the swirling confusion. Okay, so how do we begin? Jack asked, his voice steadier than he felt. Look around, Agnes gestured to the darkness that enveloped them. Listen to what calls to you. Each object here holds a story, a fragment of Evelyn's life that intersects with yours. They began to explore. Slowly, Jack moved towards a dusty old mirror. The surface was clouded, but when he wiped it clean, a shimmer of reflection stared back at him, filled with the weariness of time. His breath hitched as he looked closely. He could almost make out the features of a woman who wore a gentle smile, a ghostly resemblance to Lily. "Dad? Is that great-grandma?" Lily pointed, her voice dipping into awe. "It could be," Jack whispered, emotion flooding his chest, yet the joyous moment was quickly clouded by memory. He could almost hear the whispers again, echoing secrets long buried. He turned to Agnes, his voice strained. "Were we meant to find this? Did she want us to know?" Agnes stepped closer. "Knowledge is a gift, but it comes with responsibility. It's a chance to embrace your heritage and shape your future." With newfound determination, Jack felt a flicker of hope ignite in his chest. What if this journey could mend more than just their understanding of the past? What if it could redefine their family's future? After a moment of stillness, Jack felt a pull, drawing him towards a small, tattered journal nestled between the shelves. He reached for it, his fingers brushing against the worn leather, a shiver of excitement coursing through him. As he opened it, the pages whispered of sorrow and love, tales of resilience and sacrifice. With each word, Jack realized the weight of Evelyn's sacrifices. The tears shed, the laughter silenced. This was her gift to them, folded beautifully into the text before him, but just as he began to grasp the first intriguing lines, a loud crash echoed from deep within the shadows behind them, interrupting the moment. Jack's heart raced, adrenaline flooding his veins. "Did you hear that?" Lily gasped, eyes wide. "Yes," Jack breathed out, a sense of dread crawling up his spine. "Do you think someone else is here?" She whispered anxiously. As the silence pressed down like a thick blanket, Jack's mind raced. Whatever they had begun could lead down paths they hadn't anticipated. "Let us go check it out," he finally said, summoning every ounce of courage, stepping into the darkness. The faint laughter now felt distant, almost mocking them. What if they weren't alone? What if the shadows weren't just echoes of the past but held shadows of their own, waiting? Jack's heart thundered in his chest as they ventured further, the air thick with uncertainty. What lay ahead in the depths of their heritage, and would they emerge unscathed? With the echo of the crash lingering in his ears, he felt a chilling reality settle in. The journey could change everything, but at what cost? Jack's heart raced with every step they took into the suffocating darkness. The air felt alive, seemed to crackle with unspoken words and restless spirits. "Stick close," he whispered to Lily, feeling her small hand squeeze his tightly. As they moved deeper into the room, he strained to listen for any signs of what had made that crash. It felt like the shadows themselves were watching, shifting with each cautious breath. "Agnes?" Jack called out, hoping to hear the comforting presence of wisdom amidst the fear. No answer came, only silence. It was unsettling. Jack placed the journal to his side, focusing on the corners of the room, where the darkness clung like a heavy blanket. Dust motes hung in the pale beams of light filtering through dirty windows, swirling in patterns that reminded him of a year he had spent searching for answers to questions he never quite grasped. "Maybe we should turn back," Lily suggested, her voice trembling. The adrenaline that had spurred Jack forward now wrestled with something darker in his gut. "No," Jack replied with a firmness he didn't entirely believe. "We're here for a reason. We can't just leave." He pushed on, and as they journeyed further, the room opened up, revealing a large space with high ceilings, remnants of a faded grandeur. Pieces of furniture lay scattered around, and in the center stood an old trunk, its leather cracked and peeling. Jack felt a draw toward it, almost like it had a heartbeat beneath the layers of dust. "Help me," he said to Lily, kneeling down beside it as he fumbled with the clasp. The latch creaked open, and a gust of stale air escaped, carrying the scent of cedar and something sweetly nostalgic. Inside lay a jumble of forgotten relics, old photographs, letters tied with yellowed ribbons, and a single silver locket that shimmered in the dim light. Jack reached for it, running his fingers over the cool metal, feeling the grooves of intricate designs. "What do you think is inside?" he wondered aloud, intrigued. "I don't know, but it must be important," Lily replied, her fear slowly giving way to curiosity. Maybe it'll tell us more about great-grandma. Jack's heart ached at the thought of knowing Evelyn beyond the fragmented memories and stories shared during family reunions. He opened the locket, revealing a tiny portrait of a woman who wasn't just familiar. She looked eerily like Lily. "Dad, look!" Lily gasped, leaning in closer. "It's like a perfect match." He felt a lump form in his throat, the connection tugging fiercely at his soul. This was the legacy they were unearthing, a lineage etched into their bones. But as he continued to stare, dread coiled around his heart. If Evelyn carried the burden of hidden truths, then what else could he uncover? Suddenly, another crash echoed through the room, louder this time, vibrating through the very floor beneath them. Jack felt all the color drain from his face. It wasn't just echoes of the past anymore, it was present danger. What was that? Lily squeaked, eyes wide with fear. "I don't know, but we can't stick around to find out." His instincts kicked into high gear as he bolted to his feet, grabbing the locket and the journal as he turned back to Lily. "Let us go." They rushed toward the doorway, but as they stepped into the darkness, the air grew heavy, an oppressive weight pressing down on them. Shadows seemed to flicker around the edges of sight, teasing them with the promise of secrets yet to be revealed. Just as they neared the threshold, an eerie voice echoed through the dim space, "You think you can just walk away?" Jack froze, his blood turning to ice. The words wrapped around him with malicious intent. He whipped around, both fear and determination coursing through him. "Who's there?" He called out, his voice strong despite the quaking in his chest. The laughter he had heard earlier echoed again, but it held a different tone now, one that seemed to dance with threat. "You're not ready for what lies ahead." Jack's voice faltered slightly as he called back, "But we have to be." With that, the darkness felt like it was closing in, visions of the past colliding with a future uncertain. What kind of truths awaited them, and were they bold enough to face them together? As the figure stepped out from the shadows, all Jack could think was how far he had come, and how much was still left to uncover. The real journey was just beginning, and this time, the stakes were higher than ever. Will they discover the truth that sets them free, or will the darkness conspire against them? "Step back!" Jack shouted, panic seizing him as the shadowy figure emerged fully into the dim light. It was a tall man, face obscured but eyes glinting with something primal and unmistakable power laced with menace. Lily clutched Jack's arm, terror threaded through her voice. "Who are you? What do you want?" The figure chuckled, a low, chilling sound, sending shivers down Jack's spine. "The question, dear ones, is not what I want. It's what you seek. But are you ready to face the truth? To confront the legacy of your family's past?" Jack squared his shoulders, feeling the weight of the locket and journal press against him, reminders of the love and pain intertwined in his heritage. "We're ready," he declared, the strength of his resolve surprising even himself. "Are you?" The figure replied, a wicked grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. "The truth is not always a bomb. Are you prepared for the scars it may unveil?" Jack exchanged a glance with Lily. She appeared resolute, her chin held high. "We've come this far. We have to know. We deserve to break the cycle." Brave words from the daughter of a man who has turned his back on truths for far too long. The man's voice was like venom, intent piercing through the air. "You have no clue how deep the darkness runs." "We won't back down," Jack said defiantly, heart hammering in his chest. Just then, the journal slipped from his fingers, falling open as it hit the ground to pages filled with love letters and heartache, words almost pleading to be heard. The man stepped closer, almost entranced by the book's contents. "Ah, the letters of lost love," he sneered, picking up the journal and flipping through the brittle pages. "Do you think this will save you? What do you know about my family?" Jack barked, mustering his courage. "What is your connection?" The figure paused, eyes narrowing, a strange flicker passing over his face. Connection? Let us just say, I am the consequence of choices made long ago. I walked a path that intertwined with your great-grandmother's decisions, and now, I seek to reclaim what was taken from me. Jack blinked. You're speaking in riddles. What are you after? A deep sigh escaped the figure, his demeanor shifting as he took a step back, shadow retracting momentarily. The secrets and power hidden within your lineage are far greater than you know. Were you to embrace them, you could become so much more. But to reject them, well, that would lead to devastation for you and those you hold dear. What could possibly be worse than a life lived without the truth? Lily spoke, voice steadier than her trembling hands. We've already faced pain. If there's more, let us let you. No, you can't let yourselves be consumed by shadows. The man's tone shifted to commanding urgency. To grasp the power of your family's past, you must walk into the darkness, not just peer into the abyss. Only those with courage will emerge unscathed. Jack realized that this was not merely a confrontation with a stranger, but also a reckoning with himself, a reflection of his own fears and regrets. You think you're a master of shadows? I know darkness too well, and I refuse to let it define me or my daughter. We choose our own path. The figure considered this, a flicker of uncertainty in his gaze, as if struck by Jack's resolve. Very well then. Prove it. Just then, the trunk behind them creaked open, revealing a medley of relics sparkling dimly. Only by facing the remnants of your ancestors can you understand the legacies that bind. You must be willing to take the plunge. Let us do this together, Jack murmured to Lily. Whatever it takes. Holding hands, they stepped toward the relics. Faded photographs and intertwined letters fluttered like fallen leaves caught in a breeze, revealing glimmers of love and laughter but also shadows of choices made, sacrifices endured. Ready? Lily asked, her courage palpable. I am, Jack affirmed. They felt entwined not just as father and daughter but as a team ready to reclaim their story. With hearts beating as one, Jack and Lily began sifting through the relics, vulnerable yet determined to reveal the truth buried deep in their family's history. Each item told a story, whispered truths, and promises of a new beginning. Time passed, shadows and light danced around them, embodying hope and heartache intertwined. As they pieced together the narrative of their lineage, laughter reverberated through the air, mingling with tears of understanding. We're not just facing the truth, we're mending connections, healing wounds, Lily whispered, a glow of realization lighting up her face. Jack smiled, warmth blooming within him. Together they were building bridges to the past, planting seeds for the future, transforming their family's legacy from one of darkness to a beacon of love and resilience. As they finished exploring, the shadowy figure stood in admiration, a flicker of recognition gleaming in his eyes. You have embraced the light within your heritage. This is where transformation begins. I will not be defined by pain, Jack declared, now powerful in his clarity. We'll redefine our legacy, together. The energy shifted, reverberating with new fervor as the truths began to intertwine with their beings. By choosing courage, they didn't just shed their past, but embraced their family's legacy of strength and endurance. With a final bow, the shadowy figure retreated into the darkness with reverence, allowing the radiance of the room to spread. I will be with you, he whispered, a final acknowledgement of their journey, as you walk toward your truth. In that moment, Jack looked at Lily, an unbreakable bond forged anew. This is just the beginning, kiddo. And with that, they stepped back into the light, ready to face whatever the world would bring next, anchored in love. Together, now is the moment to show your support. If you felt the strength of this transformation, you need to subscribe right now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your action makes a real difference. Comment below your feelings about this ending, sharing your thoughts and reactions, and remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the inspiration. Only true fans understand the power of supporting our community through these actions.